Let us talk about school management or education management and the allocation of resources in today's video per se. So, resource allocation and resource utilization is very important. You allocate resources and never get utilized. It is wastage of allocation in the first end. So, what are we looking into it? Resource allocation is a process of assigning and managing assets, managing utilities within the organization setup, and achieve the desired goals of the organization. This includes scheduling, organizing, and assigning tasks, managing tangible assets. And I'm not talking only about hardware or software assets like employees or human capital, everything in a gamut within the purview of an organization. Resource utilization is the resource management technique that measures how resources are being used. It is nothing but a metric that shows how much a team's time has been spent on a billable task, how productive each member is becoming, as the case might be. And that is what we should go across with it, right? And that is what we are looking forward to. So now talk about the resource utilization and the resources thereby. Let us go about utilizations and allocations, right? Allocation and utilization. By definition, allocation is all about scheduling, organizing, absolutely, and assigning tasks. Whereas utilization is ensuring those resources have been utilized. How do we measure them? Static measurement. So I have, let's say, I have a lot of chalks, lots of dusters, lot of notebooks, lot of uniform, but those uniforms are not being distributed, or the uniform are in excess to the inventory required. It is not only capital which has been blocked, but also there are chances that uniform might get there might be pilferages out there, right? So that is what we are looking at as far as the inventory is concerned. So the proper utilization of the resources might not have taken place. In terms of focus allocation, we are talking about desired goal. Project management, managers assigning the task as the case might be. Absolutely ensuring the top management has allocated resources for everybody, but people are not utilizing those resources. This is what utilization is all about. It. How do we measure them in terms of efficiency, in terms of KPIs, key performance indicators, measuring performance and effort? Then comes the outcome. Prevent scopes and creep. uh, Absolutely increase profitability in terms of allocation. Absolutely. Why? Because there is allocation which has been done at the proper time, at the beginning, proper app, or allocation when things are been available at a cheaper prices. Utilization is forcing the resource availability plan and workforce load. So measure of resource utilization, overall resource utilization tracks actual allocated time against the total billable hours or available hours perhaps it. In terms of billable hours spent on the work, usually a person spends approximately 8 mandated hours in the workplace. So hours spent in the work that can be directly billed to the client. Non-billable hours spent on the work that cannot be directly billed. Let's say people were there, but they were almost planning or something other. They might be wasting time on building network or having a good time, so that it is going to have a filtered in effect in future projects. Strategic resources utilization time are spent on strategic initiative that benefits the organization as on when on basis. Importance: monitoring team utilizations and individual productivity is crucial for effective resource management. Overall prevention, tracking utilization helps avoid over allocating resources, which can lead to burnout and delays. Benefits of accurate measurement. Accurate utilization measurement allows a proper resource allocation, proper planning. Circulation resource utilization is calculated by dividing the actual allocated time by resource capacity. So actual allocated time is, well, let's say 100 hours, but the resource capacity is not beyond 50 hours, right? 50 hours a week. So you require at least 2 weeks to complete the courses. You cannot expect that everything will be done within a week's time. When people might get confused, why if 100 hours, how can it be done within a week? Believe me or not, you are only working for 8 hours, right? And you might be the only gentleman working around in that particular office. So, can you work for 8 into 6 or into 7 days? How many hours? Or you are expected to work for approximately 13 hours a day? probably this is inhuman. So you need to understand how many employees are there, how many billable hours are there, how many resources are there, and what has been allocated. So calculate those things by actual allocated time by resource capacity. Outcomes is utilization of data helps affect track performances, create reports, billable tasks, engage in strategic capacity planning as on when on basis. Now we'll talk about the smarter resource management, which is the traditional method where traditional methods struggle. Accurately estimating resources required becomes much difficult due to complex and layered application structures. And believe we are not producing everything in house. There might be supply chain issues, there might be original equipment manufacturers which are located off site. So there are so many complexity that comes in. Traditional forecasting method in dynamic environment can lead to over allocation, inefficient resources, and hindering digital transformation. Smarter resource management needs, as complexity grows and data explodes, smarter approaches becomes much more crucial. And this is where artificial intelligence can be of a big help. AI ops, artificial intelligence operations to the rescue. AI ops provides complete visibility, intelligent resources allocation, keeping enterprises much more relevant. Now we'll talk about the artificial intelligence operations benefits. It one the best thing is it reduces spends. Proactively problem solving saves money. Eliminating future issues, as in pattern interpretation, as in incident isolation, prevention of application resource problem. Next is effortless performance improvement, which transform a performance with a less of an effort, less of a resources, more of an output, immediate efficient output. So changes in the project scope. Remember, scope, we were talking about 100 million projects, we were talking about 1,000 million projects. Dollars project, $100 million project, $1,000 million project. So we have generally changed. We are talking about, let's say, take about a hospital. We were talking about 100-bedded hospital. Now we're talking about 500-bedded hospital. We are changing the scope of the project. Use of outdated legacy tools, miscommunications between sales and delivery team, lack of resources, visibility within the matrix organization, mismatch in the skill set between capacity and demand as on when on basis. So what are my benefits of resource allocation in project management? It first and foremost reduces the cost significantly. Once it reduces the cost, it automatically means it improves the productivity of the resources of the project, enhances employee engagement, enhances their satisfaction. We are talking about motivated employees, facilitating client satisfaction. What? The cost goes down, profitability increases, productivity improves, employees are happy, automatically the outcome will be good one. If the outcome is good one, your client is satisfied, achieves the best outcome from the existing resources thereby. So about internal and external factors, you need to understand what you require might not be available externally. When you require, it might be at a higher price. So we need to understand the resource availability, the project requirements, the project cost consideration. These are the things that you need to understand. And then you might have finished a product, but you're waiting for other of the ingredients, raw materials, suppliers, technicians, anybody who can come up and take the project forward. So this is what we are talking about, resource interdependencies. And then we have the environmental factors. It might be natural calamities, it might be political environment. It is the environmental factors which is beyond your control per se. So best resource allocation techniques on what are the strategies? First and foremost is bottom up. As we go from lower base to higher end, you will improve upon it. Or it can be from top down, absolutely top down. We can have the CPM method of critical path method, essential equipment, essential things, essential key points which you are producing, and rest you are getting it done from outsourcing it. So critical path method. We can also have a program evaluation review technique, probably keeping on evaluating each stages and probably ensuring what can be done and how it can be done. Is can technology enhancement in technology help you with the project? Can allocation of more money help you? So we need to talk. What are we talking about? We're talking about agile resource allocations. We're talking about just-in-time resource allocation. So identify efficient resource allocation, identify and allocate the best visible, best fit resources, avoid Under or over allocation of resources? Definitely yes. Subscribe to an automated resources request process. Empower employees to work on a project of interest. Diversify employee skill set. Diversity employee responsibilities. Ensure that everybody is there for the project and every one of the employees are owning the project. So this is what we need to understand. Avoid over allocation or under allocation. Identify the best visible, best fit resources. Subscribe to an automated or AI system. Empower employees and diversify the skill set. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching it.